poor quality tonight, and it's going to be rubbish because they're supposed to be having hours of rehearsals, Gel. Well, I've spent the whole afternoon practicing somebody's name, and it's on screen now. Okay, his name is Ben Agbamoni. Ben Agbamoni. I got it and nailed it, Ben, just for you, mate. So we've done no rehearsals because I've been practicing his name all afternoon. So, Ben, welcome to the show. I hope I've got it right for you. Please tell everybody in the world that I've got it right, even if I didn't. I'm going to start the show off, if I don't mind, to let you guys know something about an event. This is a Palace Brighton event. Now, some of you may be, Ben says I've got it right. Hey! This is called the REMF game. Now, REMF game. Okay, now the REMF game is a Palace versus Brighton charity game. Okay, and what REMF stands for is the Robert Eden Memorial Fund. Okay, this has been going on for years and years and years. I'm delighted for you, Ben. So the Robert Eden Memorial Fund is a charity set up on behalf of a guy that died in the Twin Towers disaster. Okay, it's been played for the last few years. I know Andy Johnson's played in a couple of them. It's a real good event. It's a real friendly event. Bearing in mind, it is against that lot. Okay, and it's played at the place called. Ready for this, Joe? It's called the Dripping Pan in Lewes. The kickoff is 7:45 p.m. on Friday, the 11th of May, 2018. So that's Friday, the 11th of May at the Dripping Pan in Lewes. 7:45. The entrance fee is £5. Under 16s, it's £2, and all proceeds go to the REMF fund. It's something I've never been to before. I know quite a few guys, including our own very own Ned Sean Feeney, is going to. I'm actually thinking about going down and supporting it this year because it's something that I'd really love everybody to support and get on board. Get on board. Anyway, Mr. Holyoke, bonsoir, my man. How are you?
Bonsoir. Yeah, good. Yeah, very good.
Yeah. How was your day yesterday? Tell me about your day.
Just another day supporting Palace, isn't it? You know, it's either this season it's either really bad or really good. It's just a really, really good day. I'm so happy that we've spanked them as well. In front of in front of the watching millions, and I think the haters are going to hate, but I think that finally we're getting a little bit of love from the media now. Yeah, deserved, massively deserved.
Evening, Damien. Absolutely. I mean, the thing about it wasn't just the fact that we went and got the very important win, and it was an important win. We all knew that. You know, you could actually feel a little bit of tension around the ground before the game. I'm watching it's actually been rerun on Sky right now. The Loftus-Cheek's goal's just gone in. Leslie wanted to know what happened. Well, there was quite a good result yesterday, Leslie. 5-0 against Leicester City. That's now 8-0 on aggregate against that lot this season. And I've seen every single one of those goals going. I think I've only been to 2 away games this season, and one of them was Leicester away where we won 3-0. And I think a couple of very important stats came out from yesterday. Does everybody realise that our £27 million striker, Benteke, 66% of his goals have been scored against Leicester City this year? One up there and one down there yesterday. David King's already said it is a masterclass in attacking yesterday. And I think, that about encapsulates everything. He's absolutely right. Right, we're going to kick off. We'll run through the lineup and then a bit of the first half. But folks, this evening it's already 50 if you're watching. Like I said, this show can go on as long as you want it to go on tonight. Joe and I are going to do some time on the game. Then we're going to invite Carl on. Now, some of you may be familiar with Carl because he's written a great piece on our page tonight on the goalkeeper Wayne Hennessy, and he's going to do the whole squad, okay, over the next few days. So he'll be coming on to tell me his views on yesterday's performance. And then later on in the show, if you want to come on and say hello, give me your thoughts on what happened yesterday, your thoughts on what happens for the rest of the season, your thoughts on the transfer window, your thoughts on anything at all. Please feel free to come on board later on in the show, but it's going to be a little bit later on. Admins behind the scenes, can you stop messaging each other, please? Because it's coming up on the screen. It's cutting gel. It's cutting
using
gel.
our phones.
Yeah, I know it's cutting Gel out, and it's also cutting me out as well. So do us a favour, admin boys, try and avoid it if you can do so. Right, so we're going to kick off, Gel, if you don't mind, with the lineup now, unchanged in 3 games. My Phil Potts player prediction,
and rightly so.
I'm going to ask you about that shortly. My prediction was that we were going to bring Benteke in. We were probably going to drop, and I thought it would be Loftus-Cheek. And start with an attacker up front because we needed a victory. So your thoughts on the lineup as it was? Oh, and Wan-Bissaka, of course, and Joel Ward.
Well, we started with an attacker up front. Started with 2. One especially who's been scoring goals. So yeah, I keep seeing people mentioning, you know, in the chat straight away, and people have been saying it as well about not playing with a recognised centre forward. Well, most I don't know how most people don't know this, but Wilf is naturally a centre forward turned into a winger. So you know he does play up front. So it's not an unnatural thing to him, which is why, you know, the really important games that we've ever played, apart from the cup final, I think Eddie played up front in the cup final, centre where he plays now. I think we would have won that. But anyway, listen, that's another subject, or one that's been completely worn out. But yeah, I thought it was a good start. Again, I was a bit disappointed to see Aaron Bissaka not playing again. But Wall did all right yesterday. I think he did more than all right. So
did he redeem himself? I mean, Kevin Lyons has already come on there and said Wall's clearance was pivotal. Did he redeem himself with that with his performance yesterday? Because he has had. Let's be honest. He's had a couple of shaky games over the last couple of weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah, without a doubt. But it's going to take 2 or 3 games to get back into it. Not half a game in the 23s. So, but you know, but Ward redeemed himself. If he'd have been up with the line, as we know, but that save he did off the line from Vardy was a non-event, because Vardy would have been offside by a yard or 2, and you stick it past him, and the lino sticks his flag up anyway. So, but yeah, do you think so? Completely irrelevant.
Just cover that off again. Do you think so?
What, Vardy was on? If Ward had stepped up with the other with the 2 centre backs and the left back.
Oh yeah. If Ward had done, yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant.
So the back line has to work as a line, yeah. The 4 defenders have to work in a line, and he'd been working in a line, looking across the line, which is what he should always be doing. Vardy was 2 yards offside, but that's irrelevant. It didn't happen. But what he did have was the tactical nous to get back and stop of what would have been an excellent finish from Vardy going into the back of the net.
Yeah.
So, and we had a little bit of a rub of the green as well with when the ball came off of Ward's foot. It literally bounced into the hands of Hennessy, which and
exactly. And if you remember, the same thing happened last week as well.
I know. We've had a little bit of luck, but hey, listen, you deserve it. I thought. Guys,
I can see your questions going down all over the page. Don't forget, we've been running a feature on Red and Blue News today that is with questions. So try and hold back on your questions. We'll do the match first, and then we'll come to all your questions a little bit later on. Ben, I saw your messages then. Somebody just called you Gel Kamara. Richard Harvey,
Ben.
Was that our Ben? Was it? Was that our Ben?
Yeah.
Tyler just said that we can still finish 11th in the league or top 10 or something. Where do you think we're going to finish?
Well, if we can keep everyone fit, there's no reason why we can't, finish as the telly shows the table in the top half. I mean, if you'd have said, listen, if you said every single season finish in the middle of the table. Every season, you take it. We can take it. I said years ago, all we need to do, although it's come back, might have come back to actually bite me on the arse, but is to be Stoke. I mean, they've just had. I think this is their 10th season in the Premier League, but just being mid-table, and every now and then you can just bite the backside to the big, the top 6. But yeah, I'd just settle for anything between 10 and 14.
So
every season.
I'm going to ask you the most direct question of all, okay? And it's because I've got to do so at some point this evening. We may as well do it now. And I'm just going to read you a quote from yesterday. His post-match conference. Asked if Palace was saved, the manager says, "I think so. No one wants to tempt fate too much in that respect, but it would take a lot for a team with 38 points and such a good goal difference to go down." Are we safe, Jill?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be catastrophic for us to go down from here. I mean, let's just get out of the way. It would have to be even more, epic proportions of us losing the first 7 games without scoring a goal. I think Southampton and Stoke, and I'd have to start. I'm not too sure Stoke can catch us now. Can Stoke catch us?
I don't know if they can. I don't want to keep rifling through papers, but I have got the answers of that here somewhere in the.
But anyway, I know. Obviously Southampton, if they win their next 4 games or 3 games or whatever, 7-0 every one.
Richard Kingdon saying no to your question.
What's that? They can't catch us, no?
Yeah.
So there's two spaces from our point of view. There's already 2 spaces gone. So
Collins says the same. James says the same. They're all saying.
So that's excellent. So all we want now is for the So we know that West Brom are basically down. I think no matter what, unless there's only one team that has to win next week. I think it's Southampton just have to win, and then West Brom are gone anyway. So, but
I've got to see what that. There was a comment that just went through on there, and I'm just going to refer back to it if I can find it. Hang on 2 seconds. Let me just turn this off. I've got to see what that. There was a comment that just went. And I'll turn that off as well. Something about us decorating or something. I think I'm having a pop at our decorations. Yeah, there it is. It's Carl Davis. Yeah, but bear in mind, Carl, you are coming on later on, so any abuse you're throwing our way, I'll pay you back in space. He says, boys, if you put a quid on us getting relegated, if we go down, then it will pay for the new recording outfit. I thought he was talking about decorating. The new recording stuff over here. Yeah, guys, as Ben Allen says, it's 500 to 1. Boys out there, everybody out there, 60 of you watching this evening, we wanted to get some more recording kit to make this feature a better quality for you. How do we do it? Any suggestions out there? Put it on the page. Come and talk to us because we want to know what the best way of doing it. I know Jill's got lots of thoughts on it, and he knows that I've got some thoughts on it. But we want to make this a better feature, and we want to make the quality better for you, so we can interact with you more. We got you coming through with all your comments, but you know the rules. I can only have myself and Jill on it at any one time. One of us has to drop off to invite somebody else on. We want to do it better. We don't know how to do it. Any technos out there, let us know. And thank you for bringing the subject up, Cole. Right, so I want to talk about the midfield. Sean, you're still texting us, mate. I want to talk about the midfield. How fluid was our midfield yesterday?
Very good. Very, very, very good. Do you know what, the whole team? You can see now what happens with let's just say City when they won their first 10 games and they were averaging 4.5 goals a game. Every single one of their, the very rare time that their goal got attacked, their keeper pulled off a blinder, and they weren't conceding goals. They were on and then you see it with Liverpool when they're bad, they're appalling. When they're good, they are the best. Up there amongst the best. And you see it. And so, what happened yesterday was we had immediately every single player was on it, and it epitomised. You can see that when you score, everyone goes to each other. It's I hope that's a sign of things to come, but. It's we'll need to knock off some extra stuff, afterwards when it comes to that, but or towards the end of this thing. But yeah, I thought we were just unbelievably good, and this is just purely my opinion. But when MacArthur's on song, he is just superb. When MacArthur and Loftus-Cheek are on song together, it's even better. And then you had Kabay, who was just majestic yesterday. He just add the players. Every time you add a player, and you think, not one of them, no one did yesterday. Everyone stepped up. And I've already seen the comment go through. I'm not sure think it might have been Kel Gilbert who said it could have been 7, 8, 9. We could have we absolutely did smash them 5. But if it had been 7 or 8, it just literally would not have been. People couldn't have turned around and said that it wasn't deserved. We absolutely smashed him.
Can I just bring up a point that somebody just mentioned in there? I'm just looking for your name so I can give you a shout out. Rob Crayford's just said on there, Jimmy Mack has 2 years left on his contract. I want to stay with the midfield for a minute, okay? Jimmy Mack has 2 years left on his contract. Now, we were talking about this on the page earlier in the week, okay? And we know that we've got quite a few players out of contract. Now, and I was the one that was saying, actually, Jimmy Mack was talking about a new contract, but as far as we were concerned, he hadn't signed that new contract. My understanding is, and if you listen to 5-Year Plan and a couple of other people, we believe now that Jimmy Mack has signed an extension to his contract. It just hasn't been announced by the club. Jill,
I heard different. I heard that he'd signed like a much the same as Gator. That if we stay up, he stays, and if we went down, then he was off. So it was like a pre-contract. That's what I think. He's got an extended deal. That's what I've heard anyway. Whether that's true or not, which would then make sense with he signed an extended 2-year deal on the proviso that we stay up.
Yeah, Rob
which would then take him till he's 32, which is good. So
Rob's Crayford saying again that his brother came out on Twitter and said that he had signed it, and then took that tweet down within a few seconds. I think most of us saw that, Rob, that somebody had actually screenshotted that. I don't know. It'll be I think he proved yesterday. That's not fair. I think he proved over the last few weeks that he's more than worth. He's a new contract. He is a big
over the last few years. I don't know about that man has been for me consistently the best passer of the ball since he got to the club. We were passing, we were knocking the ball to each other, and passes were getting intercepted because they were like pretty poor. When you're supposed to ping at each other, and he almost single-handedly changed the way, I think, the way that we pass the ball within the club. I mean, he smacks a pass at you, and he expects you as a professional to be able to control that, and then lay it off at a reasonable speed where the ball is going to get to its destination. I noticed that immediately. The very first time that he came in, he's very, very, very good player. He's hugely underestimated, hugely, and then you stick him in there. When we just gone through the midfield and didn't even mention Luca. So,
we're not moving off. We're not moving off. In fact, I want to do that. I want to Jimmy Mack, Luca, Cabaye, and Loftus-Cheek. Yesterday, and you used the phrase a minute ago, and elaborate on it if you'd be so good. They're unplayable. They were some of the pass and movement was just superb. It's stuff that I haven't seen at Palace for a very long, long time. Would you agree? Hi, Stephen.
Well, without a doubt. Some of that. I mean, the Wolf's goal was. Just played across and across and across. It was like watching Chelsea or City at times. Honestly, they have. Yeah, it was like watching a much, much better side, and then going, hang on a minute, that's our side.
That's our side.
It's quite the maddest thing to see us playing top 6 football in phases.
Yeah,
and like I said to you, our football has become almost scintillating since we stopped playing hoofball.
I've got to tell you. Right, I'm going to stop talking just for a second, because I've got to tell everybody out there. Those of you who don't know Joel Holyoke, okay, will know that what he's saying, okay, it's not like him to quote so passionately about the quality of football. If he's saying that, we must have been good. And I take what you say very strongly, and I have to agree with what you said. I mean, my son said to me like yesterday, he said that first goal, and we were just about to come on to Will's first goal. That first goal, had that have been Iniesta into Messi or something like that, that would have been played out all over the world because the quality of the football was just outstanding. And it's just bailing out what you just said, Joe. I mean, the quality was superb, yeah?
Well, Graham O'Neill just said that was the best home performance since '79 when we beat Ipswich 4-1. I remember that. Davy Swindlehurst scored that absolutely superb screamer into the top corner, like a volley into the top corner. I remember that into the Holmesdale end. Yeah, I mean, it's just superb football, and it's changing. I think gradually now it's starting to change people's opinion of our style, that we legitimately now can go out and worry teams purely because it's been forced into us, but into a 4-4-2 where we are very, very good and can have a go. I believe that if we'd have played like that against any team yesterday, any team, I don't care what anyone says, I think we'd have given anybody, any of the top four, a good game. If we'd have played like that against Spurs, we'd have beat them. If we'd have played like that against Man United, we'd have beat them. If we'd have played like that against City, instead of just getting the draw, we'd have beat them. I'm telling you now, that was... And I try not to get carried away because, a lot of people have said about this, that and the other, but that really was everyone's... I've seen a lot of people say that's probably our best performance in the Premier League in this spell, in this 5 seasons. And then previously, the best away performance, I thought, was the corresponding fixture, the 3-0. That was a comprehensive beating of them, of a fairly decent Leicester side that, apparently have got an £80 million player in their ranks. So who looked very average yesterday, very, very average by the time PVA and MacArthur had finished kicking him, tackling him.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Red and Blue News. There's 70 of you out there. We are celebrating what is a famous victory at Selhurst Park yesterday. 5-0 win, and I couldn't want to do a better thing than talk to all you Palace fans out there with what was a scintillating performance. So if I haven't said good evening to you as you've joined us, good evening and welcome aboard. Great to have you with us. Jill, second goal. Actually, before we move on to the second goal, I want to ask you a question. Ben's actually asked me a question on it, and I'm going to give it to you. Wilf, has he now answered his critics, reference his final ball and his decision-making?
Oh, there's no point even going there because we've said it. Listen, do you know what? This is the way that I equate things. If you have a mayor these days as a Palace player, you get it. And I think it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter who you are. Hennessy gets it. And he's getting better, and people are coming round to him. Even Kabay, people saying Kabay. I was one of them. Thought he was shot. Get him off, punch him, shot, get rid of him. And the clamour was now we got to keep him. Let me tell you now, if Wilf didn't do it week in, week out for us when he plays for us, people, this is a results business, and if you're not doing it, then give it to someone else that does. But this fella does it, and he has done it. 300 appearances. I don't care what anybody says, but how old is he now? Is he 24?
I'm sure somebody out there will tell us shortly.
23, 24, something like that. And he's made 300 appearances already for us. He's just a fantastic player. And we don't have to worry about what other people say. When he puts, last season, when I see him put £50 million right back on his backside, Carl Walker, when he's spun him round in circles, he does stuff to players that on his day, listen, he is completely and utterly unplayable. He's 25. I was 23, someone else just said, but anyway, let's just say he's 24. But he is absolutely unplayable. And like I say, the thing with Wilf, when he's snarling and he's got the and people are kicking him and he's frustrated, he can literally walk himself out of a game. But when he's smiling and he's on it, he's unplayable. So I don't really care what anyone ever says. And there are people coming round to the fact now that Southgate has absolutely messed up in a massive way. And it's only England that will suffer when players like him, when flair players like him. I always think of, wingers, Chris Waddle and Steve McManaman, that had really decent careers playing for England. So I think that he's better than Steve McManaman. He's quicker than him. He's got more tricks than him. He's got an end product. He is simply superb, and he has got better and better as the season's gone on when we've needed him. And that's the thing. He's coped with the pressure. Not just he's coped with the pressure. Everyone's coped with the pressure. But when Wilf's smiling and he's on it, I don't care what anyone says.
Andy Stacey, I can see your comment.
He is up there.
Okay, I just want to go back to something that Kevin Lyons just said a minute ago. He's put on there, every player fighting, great team spirit. Now, Kev, your point is brilliant, but I want to hold that point until later on in the show around the Benteke goal, if you don't mind. Somebody else, best player I've ever seen play for us, and I'm in my mid-40s, said Glenn Fossey. Sean Feeney's actually come up with a joke. This is true. Sean Feeney's come up with it. He said, more haircuts, you talk about Wilf Zaha, more haircuts than Sam Allardyce eats packets of chewing gum. Now, for Sean Feeney, that's class comedy, isn't it? Bless him.
I think John's getting a bit carried away. He said he's technically up there like Cruyff and on a par with Gascoigne at his best, in his opinion. Paul Gascoigne is the best player I've ever seen put a pair of boots on.
Yeah.
So, not yet, but yeah, I mean, he just...
But he's getting there.
I can see, but the thing is, Wilf can change a game like Gascoigne used to be able to change a game. And that's what we've got. That is literally what we've got. We've got more players now where we just have one person that can change a game. Now we've got game changers. And what I thought was good yesterday was the game changers and not necessarily just the obvious ones. I mean, that ball from Sacco through yesterday that got RLC through, it's just that's City football for me. The best ball that I've seen through for a long time, I can't think who it was. It was Chung Lee put someone through with a pass like that, and it didn't result in a goal. But yeah, I'm just pleased. I mean, barring injuries, literally barring injuries, this bodes well. This bodes massively for next year.
What it does do,
really,
what it does do, I mean, because of the performance of the team yesterday, we really need to then move it on to what do we need in the summer. But we're not going to do that now. We're going to save that back for another show. But we're going to do a dedicated show onto transfer prospects, involve people like Carl and John and Ben and all the rest of the team. But we'll hold that for another show. So we ended the first half after MacArthur's great strike. I mean, we didn't really talk about it, but what about MacArthur's strike? Great vision, through the legs.
Through the legs of what goal was it where RLC nutmegged Mahrez? Was it the first or second goal? But anyway, yeah, he sent him for egg and chips, didn't he? That was fun. But yeah, I mean, Jimmy Mack. I mean, what was nice as well is the pass. It was sort of an incidental pass from Wilf to Macca, because he actually was trying to. You could see by the weight of the pass that was for Joel Ward. I mean, Macca could have just controlled it or just flicked it forward a tiny bit, and Ward was in on goal. Yeah. I mean, for us to have two players over, to have one player over is just like a bloody miracle most of the time. But it was. So Ben Agbamoni just said it was the second goal.
Agbamoni. I've been practicing it all day. It's Agbamoni.
But anyway, it was another stunning goal, and to go in at 2-0 was it was superb, really superb.
Yeah, and the guys
and massively. And we haven't covered the poor punch from their goalkeeper where. Tompkins had the header that was cleared off the line.
Yeah.
It was there was a couple of things. Who says it? Someone says this every week. Hang on, let me just go back.
That's my brother saying it. Yeah. Okay, just do it. Just deal with it now. It's Simon Philpott.
What the Razor brother?
Yeah. Never realised how much you look like Razor.
That's the thing. I don't look like him. He looks like me. I'm older than him. He looks like me. All right.
And we do get that same point every week, don't we?
I get it. Listen, it's great when I walk around the shopping centre and I go down to Blue Water and stuff like that. I get so many double takes. It's ridiculous. But anyway. Yeah,
Ben's loving the fact that we got his name right. Like, he's loving it. He's loving it. Ben, come on the show and say hello to us one night, mate. You'll be very welcome.
Going in 2-0 was absolutely just, not conceding, not conceding in the last minute, not looking like we were going to concede. But yeah, it was I think we had two scares, didn't we? We had the Moody back pass. Just very quickly goes to the casual way that Sacco scares the crap out of us every time. But the pass back to the keeper, which Vardy nearly got, and then obviously the only two chances I think they had, wasn't it? Was it two chances they had, and then the one off the line for Ward. So and to keep that attack back, it was free. It's quite a free scoring attack. But anyway, yeah.
Right. So second half. Leicester made a couple of substitutions. Question from Ben: were they rattled or were they on the beach?
No. I heard something. I can't remember who it was. It was someone put on social media that if they finish in the top 10 this year, they're on quite multi-million-pound bonuses, like big bonuses. I mean, it was huge. So I just think that they were just soundly beaten yesterday, and there were a couple of players that you would have thought, I can't think of his name now. They're right back for the pass through that from Sacco to RLC when their right back he was beaten. I mean, if it was us, we'd be screaming. He didn't even try and get back. But yeah. So 2-0 at half time, they come out, make two subs, and then they get the injury, which forces them into the third, the third substitution. And then obviously shortly after there's the sending off.
So tell me, talk me about sending off. Sending off or no sending off?
Oh goodness me! That was like, I mean, you have to be rose tinted and purely a Leicester fan to say that wasn't a red card. It was like absolutely ridiculous. How he even thought you could argue the point where not only he had him with his left hand, he had him with his right arm. It's left and right. It was a sending off, and it had been the other way. We'd have been, most of us would have just gone, all right, well, he's had him over, and that's it.
Well, actually, but you're right.
I love them.
You're completely, and you're talking cobblers. Okay, it was never a red card. It was an orange card. Did anybody know? Did you not notice it? He brought out an orange card. He's a weirdo, isn't he?
He's a strange one, Mike Dean. He really is. He's properly weird. Yeah. But this is the other thing as well. What was more disturbing is that it was the linesman that actually gave it.
Absolutely.
And as someone's just said, let me just say it, as Nick Hazel's just said there, is it? And this is the other thing as well. I've been to a few games this season with Nick, and that lino is always in that part. And I've seen him. I think he's done 3 or 4 games at Palace. I know for a fact that that's at least the 3rd game that he's done on that line, and he has given us nothing, absolutely nothing. In fact, he's been the other way. He has been rubbish. So for him to give it, I'm hoping that he was thinking I was standing there behind him screaming abuse at him. Or encouraging him.
Are you reading it? Are you reading it?
Encouraging him to open his eyes.
They're all comedians out there. Carl Davis has just said, if you're called Albrighton, you deserve to be sent off.
Well, there you go, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it was the red card, one of the red cards of the season. So, I mean, what was even better was he's a decent player, Albrighton. To be honest with you, he's one of the ones that, if Leicester were in trouble, that I'd like him at our club. Well, he's a very, very good player. But Wilf had, he had 3, maybe 4 yards on Wilf, and he got done. And the other thing as well is, had he not pulled him down, the ball back to the keeper was so bad, Wilf would have got it anyway. So,
we're already, can you believe it? It's already 20 to 8 on Sunday evening, and we're just about halfway through the game because there's so much
Yeah.
incident. So talk to me about the third goal while I'm trying to find it on my notes.
So the Sacco picks the ball up, and what he did, he sort of controlled it, and he's on the halfway line, and I think he was sort of looking for a pass just to get rid of the ball, and then the crowd sort of all, as one, sort of get forward. He got forward, and then he did that. You know how he deliberately passes? He puts his foot and almost his whole body through the pass.
He opens his body up to do it, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. And you know, he obviously saw the run of Loftus-Cheek and picked him out to perfection. So he's clean through. Like I said before, the right back has not even bothered to jog back. He's clean through. He's got. I mean, if he'd have just stopped, it probably would have taken 2 or 3 seconds for any single Leicester player to come over and tackle him. But anyway, he's had the beating of him. He's beat it fair and square. No way was he offside either. Some people have said he might have been a little bit offside,
No.
but anyway, no way offside. He mugs the goalkeeper with that big jump sideways, which forces the keeper to try and make a movement. I think he goes right, then goes left, slips over, and then RLC just rolls it into the bottom right hand corner. Was a very, very cool finish, and he really enjoyed it. I mean, he jumps up in the air, and then I think he could hear Wilf's, because he didn't smile at first, but he's, as soon as he turned around and see Wilf running at him, it was a massive, great big smile. And
That's that Loftus-Cheek goal worries me a little bit because it's one of those things where, first of all, let me just talk you through from the Homesdale's point of view. When Sacco picked the ball up, I shouted at the top of my voice, "Drive, drive, drive!" And with that, he just picked the ball up, carried it forward, and played that ball through. And it was exquisite. It was a beautiful.
Are you trying to have a claim up on it?
No. But the bit that worries me, the bit that worries me was that he's then taken it round the keeper, slotted it home, all in front of the England manager. Now, my worry about it is I am in the camp. And there you go. Ben Wayne just asked, how much would he cost in the summer? This is exactly the point I was coming on to, Ben. It was my concern is that he will now get picked for England, and by him getting picked for England, his stock will then rise again. Okay, he'll end up having a blinding World Cup in Russia. Sorry, am I boring you? Sorry if I'm keeping you up. Okay.
No. I've had my tablets and all the shit. I just had some pudding with my Sunday dinner, and the sugar's starting to catch up with me now, and I have the tablet, so it makes me yawn. Sorry.
There's 75.
It's not you.
Listen, I might need a co-presenter. If he actually dozes off, I'll bin him off, okay, and bring one of you guys on. But the point,
Yeah.
my point being was that his stock is going to rise so much now that we won't be able to afford him in the summer anyway, regardless of what.
We will be able to afford it. We will be able to afford it. See, the thing is, right, he played, I don't know, 7 games to Chelsea, 8 games to Chelsea. He's always been a fringe player because of his lack of team, his lack of match time of actually playing. But the reason he wasn't playing is because he was always bloody injured. Now somehow he has, he's got a dodgy back, and I think a lot of injuries are caused by not only just being injured, but compounded by not playing, being depressed, being out of the loop as such. And Chelsea's such a big club that if you're in the loop at Chelsea, if you're in the first team and you're a first team regular, then I imagine that's a very, very small world. And the same as if you're on the outside of it, even though they have, I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 players at the club on their books, that even that is a small world, because you're just completely away from the first team. So I think he just being that fringe player was not good enough for him, which is why he was allowed. I mean, the other thing as well, some of those guys, he would know some of our players, some of our younger players. So to come to another Premier League side, I know Chelsea are probably letting him come to us because we're not going to hurt them. We're not going to be challenging for top 4 places. So we're not going
What's
to
the best we can hope for then, Jill? Is the best that we can hope for that we get him on another year's loan, or as Nigel Croucher, who's up north? Good evening, Nigel. He's going to say he's actually saying it's going to cost a hell of a lot if he has a good World Cup. So what's
a hell of a lot? But the thing is, have we got an option? Ask Carl. I see if Carl knows. The mistake we've had is having loan players with no options at the end of the season. I mean, have we got an option to buy CFM? I mean, see, John Ellicott said he'll go for around 10 to 15 million quid, and I reckon if we turn around and said he was, the upper side of that at 15 million pounds, you can't buy a championship player. You're probably right there, Jason. Maybe
Jason,
20,
I agree
20.
with Jason as opposed
but
to
you
John
can't. You can't buy a championship player for less than 10 million pounds. There's championship players changing hands now between 10 and 12, 13, 14 million pounds in the championship. So because it's the
Ruben Loftus-Cheek has already got England recognition. He's going to be going north of 20 million, then, isn't he?
No, he won't be good to north of 20 million. It's just, I think, look, there's a few things. There are. If he wants to come to our club, then he has a financial say in it, because Chelsea want 15. Say Chelsea want 20, and he'll just go, well, I'll forsake the rest of my Chelsea contract, and let me go for 18. If it's 15, he'll say 13. Don't pay me up. Don't just sell me or veto the contracts, and then it's. But what we have to do is we have to try and make sure that he is not going to turn around and be glass for us, because we've got 2 or 3 players like that, and what we cannot afford to do is have a player who's going to want, his move to us is going to cost us 60 grand, 70 grand a week. He's going to want that, and he's going to want guaranteed first team football. And if he wants guarantees for that, we're going to want guarantees that he's not going to be injured.
Right.
So
I need to jump in. I don't know if you noticed while you were talking there, Jill, but in the last 30 seconds, we actually hit a new record. 80 plus watchers a minute ago. Thank you to each and every one of you. This show is bugger all without you. It's just been me sitting here.
It's obviously nothing on telly.
But my God, I just can't believe we are blessed and we are ever so grateful. So thank you, every one of you. Right, I just want to go back. I just want to go back and ask you another question. Right, this is going back to the midfield, and this is also a question for everybody out there. Okay, because you've all seen it this season. Luka Milivojevic. Have we now got past? Hello, Nick. Have we now got past Jedinak? Do we have the replacement for Jedinak? Is he a better player than Jedinak?
Do you know what is right? So
thank you for the question,
what you had with Jedinak was a player that would smash you, then pick you up, would try and headbutt your head off, and then pick you up. He would, and then if he smashed you, got the ball off you, he'd lose it. What we've got with Luka is a player that he's not the best in the air, but he has got great feet. He tackles. He's sneaky. He's a very sneaky. He's a clever player. But what he has got, which Jedinak didn't have, was a range of passing. I can't say he is better. I think he's better than Jedinak at free kicks. I know, obviously, he gave us one of the best, the goal against Liverpool, screamer in the top right-hand corner from Jedi there. But already, I think that he is a better. I think he is, as someone just said there, Mark II. He's the next step up for me. He's the next step up from Jedinak, and that's what we've been missing. That's what we've been missing. Do you know what he's almost like? He's like a Jedinak number 10. You know that? That's what I've been saying for ages. That we and Ian Lyons will say this as well. I always thought we needed like a genuine number 10, and I think he is. I think he is a genuine number 10. I think but he also is a defensive. he's almost an enigma. He's a great defensive player. He's a ferocious tackler, and he's a 10. I mean, that's a very rare player. It's a very, very rare player. He's almost a bit of a Wilshere, you know. Just
wow.
is for me, yeah.
What's his value now, Jill?
Luca?
Yeah.
Oh, and again, it just depends where he wants to go, really. I mean, I don't think he'll want to go, but what I'm saying is, if let's just say, I don't know, Wolves wanted him and they've come up, then it would cost them £20 million. But if City wanted him, it's £28 million.
Yeah,
he's got to be up there, isn't he? For me, but I think we're at the point now where I think change is afoot at the club. I think there'll be players going out, not many players coming in, but the players that come in will be quality. I think we've got the nucleus of a very, very good side. Like I said, I think there's probably 5 or 6, maybe 7 players in that 24-man squad that we've got that won't be here next year. But we really, I'm not sure how we stand with FFP. When it comes to next year. But anyway,
maybe Carl might be
exciting times.
Carl might be able to throw some light on that. Right, let's move on to the PVA goal. Ben's asked, could he be Player of the Year contender? And if we're talking about consistency, don't forget, I would think Luca has got to be there for consistency throughout the season. But what about PVA? I don't think he's had an outstanding season, but he's certainly the second half of the season. I think he's been outstanding, but maybe not the first half of the season. Your thoughts?
Yeah, but he's stepped up, hasn't he? He's stepped up. I mean, The thing is, do you know what? All we saw when he first came was the flash kit that turned up in a Rolls Royce. Had a bit of a swagger in, played average. Sometimes not very good at all. Got back in his Rolls Royce and then dived off. Have you not noticed as well that since everything's been going good and he's been playing well, all of a sudden his interaction with social media, with fans and everything has started happening? Yeah. And that's what I was saying about the confidence surging through the club now, is that, another, if NSC does a deal and stays with the club, and which looks like now, I mean, if the club's talking to him, then obviously, for whatever, but even if he started keeping clean sheets and became the keeper that we'll want, not only would he get a song, but he'd be on social media quite a lot. I mean, he must, sometimes he must literally just turn his phone off. He want it off, just throw it in the bin because he's been getting. But anyway, it's
talk me through PVA. Talk me through PVA's goal.
Schlupp gives the ball to Wilf. Wilf sidesteps and sidesteps a foul as it happens. Sidesteps the defender or the midfielder, clips the ball back to Schlupp. The run through, very, very similar to the RLC run through. Keeper comes out, tries to chip him, hits him in the chest. Ball comes out on the edge of the area, and with his right foot. He passes, puts a curling ball into, just as perfect as it could be. It was a good goal, like I say,
good strike, wasn't it? Great strike.
With his right foot as well. Yeah, I mean, it was another good finish. And like you say, had it been one of the bigger clubs, they'd all be creaming about it. But they're saying that they have been. I think we've turned a corner with the media. So. But yeah, really pleased for him. Really pleased for him. And I think, is that 3 or 4? How many goals he got this season? I know he's definitely got 3.
Stop asking me questions I can't answer.
Sorry, Steve. We'll ask the army. But yeah, it was a really good strike and really good for his confidence and good for the team. And then the other thing as well is that's number 4. Yeah, so that's number 4.
Before we move on to before we move on to the Benteke goal, the Benteke penalty, okay, I just want to mention to everybody else that we're going to finish this review shortly. We're going to be taking your questions, of which I've got lots already from you. Thank you very much. Then we're going to talk about. Then we're going to invite Carl on and get his thoughts on yesterday, and then by all means, as many of you can come on as you like. Now, Ben Allen just asked in the chat there, if you noticed, talk about our substitutions and the crowd's reaction. Well, from where I'll answer that, if you don't mind, Jill, to start with, because obviously from the Holmesdale, there wasn't a reaction. And I'll be quite honest with you, we didn't even see, because obviously we're still celebrating Van Aanholt's goal, we didn't even realise he had made a double substitution, if that's indeed what he did. Because I didn't know that Benteke was on the pitch, and I didn't know, we didn't realise that Schlupp would come on. It was only when they obviously started getting involved in it, there was no reaction from the crowd that I
took
saw.
Macca and RLC off, didn't it?
Yeah. And so, I mean, we hadn't actually seen these substitutions. I don't know what we were doing. There's obviously something going on in the homes at the point. Maybe I was hiding behind one of their banners or something, like the HF's banners or something like that. But, I mean, anyway, right, so the penalty. Penalty or no penalty to start with? Running away from goal.
He got the touch, didn't he? He got the touch and then got a tap. But if you slow it down, his right leg has collapsed already before he's again, it's one of them where the top manager's saying, if you get kicked, go down. He got kicked, he's gone down. It's a pen. It's, whether he's going away from goal or whatever, it is a penalty. But I could quite easily see, had it been Wilf, that he might not have got it. So it's one of them, really. I'm trying to think. Do you know what it reminded me of? Do you remember the penalty that Benteke got against us?
Yeah,
a few years ago.
Where he got just tapped on the back of it. Yeah.
It was like that when you think that was never a penalty. Well, was it a penalty half and half, and then the referee just gives it to the bigger team? So, which must mean we're a bigger team than Leicester on the day.
What about
a day?
Now, before we actually talk about his actual penalty itself, I want you to talk everybody through, if you'd be so kind, the build-up to who was taking the penalty, because I know you have views on it because we were talking about it this morning. So, Joel Ward and PVA and
well, obviously, Luke is the penalty taker.
Yep.
And then this is what I've read anyway, that we sort of, without even anyone having to say anything, PVA has grabbed hold of Benteke and pushed him forward towards the penalty spot, and then Lucas turned around and given him the ball. So he sort of looks a little bit, oh no, I've got to take a penalty. And then you see him put the ball down, look, and as he's walking backwards, you see him shallow breathing, and then he just went, he took a look at him. I promise you, as he goes to stop walking backwards, he takes a huge breath in, and you're like, Jesus, this. And even for me, and I make no secret of this, that I've had enough. I'm not worried about. I don't think he'll be at the club anyway next year. But even I thought, God, please don't miss this. Not don't miss it just because of Palace. Just don't miss it for you. Just don't miss it. It's really, really. Again, I was really pleased with it. And do you know what? He didn't do none of that tap in, and did he do that? I don't even think he did that. He was. But what he did do.
Go on.
He smiled. He smiled when they come over, and Chung Lee come over, and everyone, and the camera was properly on, and he was smiling. And then the camera stayed on him when the players had run back to their positions. And I don't know whether he was. See, I couldn't work it out. Was he looking at the Holmesdale and clapping?
Yeah. No. Right. Let me take over at that point, because you asked a good question. First of all, course of events, the Holmesdale were calling for him to take it. Luca noticed it.
No, the ground was calling for him to take it.
Well, obviously, I can't hear the rest of the ground, so I can only hear from the Holmesdale. Luca looked towards the Holmesdale and pointed to the Holmesdale, and that's when he handed in the ball. What I felt, was genuine love for the bloke. Okay, I know you've got your doubts on him and everything else, and you're very welcome to those views. But I can only tell you what I saw yesterday. There was genuine love from around the stadium for him, willing him to score that goal. There was genuine love from his teammates when they handed him that ball, saying, "Listen, mate, go on. You've had a shit run of this, okay? 10p in the box or a pound in the box. You've had a rubbish run of things lately. You go and take it." And when he scored, there was as much love. It was absolutely first class, okay? All the players all over him. There was genuine affection for the guy. So he's obviously a good team player. Otherwise, they wouldn't have got that response. Or the players wouldn't have given him that response.
Teammate. He's a good teammate, without doubt. You can see that. You can see that in the body language and the way that the whole team went to him. So, but no, I mean, kudos to everybody involved for letting him do that, and then again to him as well for firstly for taking it. Secondly, for scoring, even if he did slip on his backside. When he hit that, it was like, oh, Jesus. He's even just to compound he looks embarrassed.
Yeah.
But to fall over as well and to fall over on his backside was just, he just thought it's just typical of what's happened to him this season. So, but anyway, yeah, it was So that's the other thing as well. Cole's just mentioned a very good point, and to be honest with you, I thought about that as well. He said, "I wonder how much that costs Luca because he will be on a goal bonus." So I don't think he will be skint no Ben, but yeah, I imagine I imagine that's cost him a few grand without a doubt. So
we're leaving the ground. The place is euphoric. Okay, we've had 3 vital points. We're now above Brighton in the league. We're chuffed. Everything's brilliant, okay? But there's something missing, okay? We've won the game, okay? So we've now completed the review of the game. I'm going to move things along, if you don't mind, okay? And ask you. So we've now won the game. It looks as though you know where I'm. You don't know, or do you know where I'm going? You got
no. Ian Waggles just said Harry Kane's claimed it.
Right. Okay.
Go on, anyway.
So
sorry.
We've moved to the end of the game. We're on our way home, and something came to my mind, and it's also come to Ben's mind, okay? Your chairman, Mr. Parrish, very quiet at the moment. We've had the ground approved, okay? Things are going forward. The team's doing well. It looks like they've secured their status for next season. But we've not heard anything from the chairman. Have you heard anything from Mr. Parrish still?
No, I haven't heard anything from him at all. Unusually quiet. He put a tweet out last night. That was it. But
do you agree? He's very quiet.
Yeah. And there's whispers about stuff happening and whatever. But I can't do whispers anymore. We need to. I don't know. It's a strange atmosphere when, for someone that's involved all the time and then doesn't get involved at all. So, but listen, the club's moving forward, and that's all Parrish wants. He's pushed his club forward and forward and forward, and there's stuff going. I'm sure there's stuff going on, but listen, it's. Whatever he's done, I see someone turn around and say earlier in our chat, is he the most successful chairman ever? Well, he's up there for a start, I'm sure.
He's got to be.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's been in charge of a cup final side that so was Nodes, and a top, being in the top division.
I never thought I'd see in my lifetime, while I'm still alive, and obviously I've only got a few weeks left probably, but I never thought I'd see in my day...
He lends a tenner before you...
Yeah, thanks for the sympathy. I never thought I'd see them put a spade in the ground to start building a new stadium. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. So he's got to be up there as one of our most successful chairmen of all time. It has to be.
I think with the times that we're moving in and his business acumen, he is. I just think the guy just doesn't like to fail. You know, I mean, he's come in complete, you know, a complete virgin when it comes to running a football club. And I've spoken to him a few times, as you know, we have in the past, and he's turned around and said about the mistakes he's made and learning from his mistakes. So but everyone makes mistakes, and just to move the club forward. Like I said, I'd love for him to come on here and get involved and say, you know, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. But I think he's got burnt a lot by social media, because he says stuff, you know, do you remember when we were flying and then he turned around and said, you know, I'd love to push for Europe, and then all of a sudden it all starts going bandy and then he gets slaughtered. So
it's quite interesting. I mean, I don't know if you noticed in the press yesterday that there was talk about this big acquisition between Sainsbury's and Asda. I wonder if that will have any bearing on any future developments. Yeah, absolutely. Ian Costas just said exactly the same thing. There's great minds think alike, Ian. And I wonder if that have any bearing on any future development of the club.
I really don't know. I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, there's give and takes in every deal, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a new stand. You know, whether it's sitting on top of a Sainsbury's or whether it's in place of a Sainsbury's. So I think that the ground will get built bit by bit. So yeah, I mean, it's just
Ian Lyons is just saying, don't forget to mention your ideas about Red and Blue News and taking the page forward, Jill. Do you want to cover that off in a minute? I just want to ask you a question before we do that, because I would like your thoughts on it and how the people out there could actually help us, because it's still over 65 people.
Cash. Yeah. Cash. Give us,
I'm not selling my body again. Okay, I've got nothing for it last time. Right, Stoke City. So Stoke City coming up. Okay. Is there any pressure for us to get anything out of that game, do you think?
There's pressure to get. Listen, this is the other thing as well. The higher up we finish, the more money we get, and the bigger the bonus pool for the players. And you know, that could be the difference between us. You know, if it's a difference of let's say it's a difference of 15 million quid. I don't know what the difference between finishing 16th and 11th is, but I bet you it's something like 15 million quid. Someone will be able to tell, right? And if that means that finishing 11th instead of right the way down the bottom means that money is a freebie to buy Ruben Loftus-Cheek, then there's incentive there, isn't there? And that's what I'd be hoping that Parish or someone has been siding up to Loftus-Cheek and saying, you know, if you really want to stay with this club, we can't afford you. If we finish here, we'll pay for that. And then he turns around and says to the senior players, so because Wilf's a senior player now, and some of the others, that, you know, do you want this fella here? Of course we want him here. Okay, well then this is what we got to do. We can't afford it because of FFP. If we finish here, then we can afford to buy him. So, you know, there's swings and roundabouts, and I'm pretty sure that, you know, that the club will be behind the scenes. There will be senior players being asked their opinions. But yeah, I think it's important now for us to try and fulfil some potential that we all knew we had, and try and finish as high as we can. You know, but like I said, even if we got nothing from the first 7 games, that if we could finish 11th, that would be nothing short of just miraculous.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just more than that. And I'd go as far as to say, quite seriously, that we should be, and I don't, like I said, I don't do rose tinted glasses, but we should be up there for sort of team of the season, to be honest with you. That's my point of view. And every single person, every single pundit, you know, all the media, all the opposition fans had us. They were loving that. I mean, we'd already filled up the bottom space. You know, it was 2 more from a possible 8 or 9, and you know, I can I can see it, but yeah, it'd be nice if we could finish. We finish 11th, mate. It'd be superb. Someone just put up it's nearly £2 million a place. So if you know, it's 10 or 12 million quid, which means that's a player. That's a fairly decent player.
Lots of questions from the audience. Okay, but one I will ask you because it's actually quite relevant. I know you're an advocate for playing the kids and introducing the kids. Last home game of the season, West Bromwich Albion. Kids or respect that we could still be, they could still be fighting to stay up. What would you do?
Well, they're not. They won't be fighting to stay up. If West Brom are fighting to stay up, then something has gone seriously wrong for other teams, for Brighton and West Ham. Because I think Southampton will get out of it. So, but anyway. No, like I said, I'd like to see Ward go on holiday early, or at least be put on a subs bench. I'd like to see 3 or 4. I would definitely. It's very hard, isn't it? I'd like to see Bailey be given a chance. I think he's been absolutely fantastic for the youth sides. And I think giving him a chance, even if we just give him 20 minutes at the end of 20 minutes at the end of the last game of the season, I think that would be absolutely fantastic. I'm not too sure we really want him, just spending another bit of time on the bench watching the first team play. And Sean Feeney just said he wants to see Kirby as well. I mean, I agree. I'm not saying put a young, but I'm trying to think. Arsenal put a young side out today. They put three youth players out there today. So, or within that.
Good question by Summer Kearson. Played Speroni for the last game of the season. Now it's safe. Say goodbye. You don't do sentiment, though, do you?
Oh God. Well, yeah. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's a really tough one. I don't know. I mean, my heart tells me that we'll want us to finish as high as we can. If money means players, then it means that's the way it's supposed to be. But if we want to do sentiment is getting Speroni playing. Sentiment isn't chucking the kids in. Chucking the kids in is giving them experience. Then on the other side of it, West Brom have done nothing but for the last 3 to 4 years, but consistently kick us. And I mean, not just kick us, but hurt us. They've done Speroni. He was out for a good while with his smashed jaw from Dawson. They kicked us in a pre-season tournament when you're not supposed to do that. What's all that about? They've consistently kicked us as a side. So maybe play the proper side.
Couple more for you, Cole. In the next 5 minutes, mate. Carl Davis will be joining us shortly. Player investment next season. This is from Michael Bushby Gel. Player investment next season. It's okay to have a new stand, but it doesn't get you points. I've got my own thoughts on that. Do you think?
Well, the money's ring fence. That's completely irrelevant. We need to take that away from the side of the money that we get next year. The money for the stand is ring fenced. That is there, right? That is no matter what. They won't spend it on players. That's to spend on the stand. What we would need to do as well is there's certain assurances after you start applying for planning permission and then go to the Premier League and turn around and say we are now going to build this stand.
Yeah.
What you have to do is you have to have money. Every club has to have money. Let me say this is how football works at the high end. You have to have enough money to finish a Premier League season, because otherwise there'd be teams going 6 games toward the end of the season and they go, we've run out of dough. We can't play anyone. So what happens is they carry it on and then the teams go into administration. We've been there, we've seen it and done it. So but what happens is the administrator will keep it. So we would now be embarking on a £100 million project, and the Premier League would want to see, that we are a Premier League club. They would want to see that money is there. That you have to have assurances. Otherwise you're turning around and inviting, let's just say, a team like Man City where they've got £1 billion worth of players turning up, and they're turning up into a building site. that's not safe, that's not finished, that will never get finished. It's not how it works. You have to have the money in place. So the money's in place. That stand will get built, and the player side of it is, the recruitment side is a buy and sell, and that's what we've got to do. So I think what we need to do as well is we need to stop giving out contracts, stop giving out 1 year deals to, as much as it hates me to say it, to players like to Damien Delaney, who's never going to kick a ball for us again, but he's got a year's, what's he played, 3-4 games for his 30, 40, 50 grand a week or whatever, 40 grand a week or whatever he's been taking off us. I know and Jules as well, he's got that extra year. I thought last year was his grace year for us, and he's got another, he's had this year out of us. I'm pretty sure he won't get another. I mean, I'd love to see him stay, but, eventually we've got to go, like, enough's enough. At 40 grand a week, we need to be playing, we need to be getting other players in that are going to be playing as part of a squad and not part of a sentiment.
Right, last question, okay, and then I'm going to bring Carl in. Carl, can you send your request in now, mate, please? Michael Middleton has asked, okay, has Roy accidentally stumbled across a planned the style of play with Wilf and Andros up front? Do you think he's planned that, or do you think he's just stumbled across it because of
listen, he said last week on Match of the Day, he turned around and said, not last week, the week before, but when we played Brighton, he turned around and said he went from 4-4-2 to 4-5-1. And he said, and all that done was invited pressure. He said, what I'll do, I'll ask the players what style of play they want to play. And then the next two games, we're playing 4-4-2. 4-4-2, win-win. Yeah. Goals.
Lots of goals.
It's but what we need to do is that if we're going to play 4-4-2, is that we are going to need to have players, players to come in that so that Wilf doesn't have to knock his nuts out and play 50 games a season. If we do all right in the cups, we need to have a solid squad. But for me, it means you have to involve the youth. It really does, because the youth, they're going to be really massively up for it. Massively up for it. So, like Jamie said, the 4-4-2 is pretty much forced onto him. So I think all we need to do is the whole club now needs to up its game. Pretty much like the women, the young girls. I think the under 16s girls, the women's side, the under 18s, the under the 23s. We're winning everything at the moment. We're winning, and we are in finals. And as a club, we are massively on the up. Massively on the up. As a ground, in 2-3 years' time, the ground's massively on the way up.
Yeah.
It's the club's on the way up, and it's taken. We basically, we're not trying to run before we walk. Not trying to. We're doing the right thing, and I think it's down to the mindset and the determination of a few people, not just the players, but behind the scenes, it's all being run as a business and not as a they're running it with their wallets and not with their hearts, like Mark Goldberg did and other people. So Simon Jordan run the club with his heart. Yeah. Didn't have enough money in the end. That's the thing as well, when he turned around and said he was worth whatever. He did 27 million quid at Palace. Mark did best part 40 million quid at Palace. Ron only ever made money at Palace. But football is a money pit. And chances are, only after the last admin in 2000 and 2009, that we are club on the way up. But it's we've had a lot of luck, haven't we? We have had a lot of luck. So very.
I'm actually trying to find Carl on here, okay, to invite him on, but he seems to have disappeared somewhere altogether. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching the Red and Blue review with myself and Gel. Thank you so much for joining. Press for you now. And you should be joining me any second now. We'd like to know your thoughts, your comments about what we're doing with this, okay? Anything you'd like to change, anything you'd like us to cover off. We're going to be doing lots of different shows during the summer, including this bloke here, okay? I'll introduce him in a second. We're going to be doing stuff from Russia. We're going to be doing stuff on transfer window. Carl Davis, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't read what he has written on our page today, and I want him to elaborate on it a little bit. This guy here has written some highbrow stuff on our page today that I'm sure that to the likes of most of us have never seen on there before. You are, sir, to be congratulated. Good evening, Carl.
You're being too kind, but I'm highbrow. I'll take that as a compliment. Not often received, I assure you.
Mate, honestly, it was superbly written. And for those of you who haven't seen it yet, this is the first of a series that Carl's about to introduce. And today he's been focusing on Wayne Hennessy. And he's going to, am I right in saying you're going to try and do the entire first team 11 before the end of the season?
Yeah, I'll do more than 11. I'm going to go through probably 20 something players. I've written about 4 or 5. I'm not going to do them 1 to 11 all position. I thought I'd start with the keeper. I've got PVA Echo up on Monday or Tuesday, and we'll work through the main parties who've played this season.
For those of you who don't know, Carl has joined now as one of our admin team. Carl, for the people that weren't here when you were on with us last time, just introduce yourself and give them a little bit of background, please.
I guess there's a couple of parts to my life, or 3 parts to my life. There's the day job, and I'm fortunate enough I work for a sports and fashion company. I've got a family, wife, 3 kids, and I think both the work and the family would probably say my biggest obsession is football. So I think I'm up to game 119 for the season. I've done, 3,000 and something games since I was 3,000 when I first came on here. So yeah, and I'm 3,010, 3,012 now. Do all Palace home and away. I have a little bit of a soft spot for Roma, so I nip over to Italy a fair chunk. I have a little bit of a soft spot for a team in Glasgow. Got absolutely thumped today. I was bloody glad I didn't go up there. I did have a ticket and I binned it out. That would have ruined yesterday. And and I love my long league football.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And so, where are you going to be in the summer, mate? Tell them where you're going to be in the summer.
Russia. So yeah, I've booked to go and do all the England games. So I'm going out to Volgograd for the first one versus Tunisia. I am nipping back. I'm not staying out there. Normally I go for a tournament. I stay out for the whole tournament, but Russia's really hard work. So I'm then taking my lad out, and we're going out to Nizhny Novgorod to go and watch the Panama game. And then I'm with a big group going to Kaliningrad for the Belgium game. And then from there on,
I understand that you and I might be doing something as a live feed during your trip. When's that? Yeah. And you better give me some dates, mate, because I ain't got a clue what the England games are. So I'll trust I'll bow to your superior knowledge.
Yeah, look, we'll definitely do something. I'll probably do an update on most days on the site, which would be a paragraph or so. But then I'm going to join up with you, Nick, with I think I'll be out in Russia on a couple of the Sundays. I think from memory, I forget which one it is. One of the games is actually on a Sunday. So depending on timings and all of that, I'll try and do something since I come out the grounds. And we're do a quick 10 minutes. So I've got a sneaking feeling we may well find 4G and Wi-Fi a little bit hard work in Russia, but we'll give a go, won't we?
Mate, I'll tell you what, and I'm looking forward to it. You'll have to remind me who plays for England. You have to remind me what colour we play in and everything else, because that's not my bag, obviously.
Ruben Loftus-Cheek.
Never heard of him, mate. I don't know who you're talking about. Listen, I want your views on yesterday, because you've been a scholar of the game, okay, and us demonstrating yesterday what I would classify as one of our technically best performances of the season. Tell me your thoughts on the game yesterday.
Yeah, look, bloody fantastic. I think it's one thing winning, and I think it's one thing winning, thumping a team. I think we've all seen some games before where we've come out with a decent victory, but we haven't been overly commanding. That was done with style yesterday, proper style. We were wonderful to watch. It was thoroughly deserved. It would have been a different game if Vardy puts his one in. There's no doubt about that. But I still, you don't see the panic in the team. for the pretty much since the players got back, i.e., we started to get Ruben Loftus-Cheek back and players returned from injury. We've absolutely looked to play the ball on the floor and pass and move football. Watford were the only team for 45 minutes that stopped us doing that in the last month or so. Fair play to Brighton as well, or credit to Brighton. They stopped us doing it for a decent chunk of the second half. But we've been, we said against Brighton in the first half we were scintillating. We were like that for probably 70 minutes, 80 minutes against Leicester. And they are not a bad team. They really aren't a bad team. And they got they got taken to pieces in the mid. We won it in the midfield and. How good was just Luca and Kabay just picking up the ball, and just there was always an option. Whenever every player is suddenly confident getting on the ball, Will picking up the ball in tight places, player up his backside. Nobody was worried. They were so confident there'd be a pass on. That's Van Arnold was an option. Even Joe Ward was an option. He's never going to get as far forward, but we look good. We look really good.
Do you know what? I would like to focus, if you don't mind, because it's easy to pick out people like Will Zaha and Loftus-Cheek and the big names and the people that always get the accolades. From the ones that have received serious criticism over the last few months, okay, and starting off with the goalkeeper, if you be so kind, difference in performance yesterday. You used the word, you used the phrase in your write-up earlier that I thoroughly enjoyed, that he commanded his box. What about the goalkeeper's performance yesterday?
Yeah. Look, he's getting his confidence, isn't he? And as I put in my my bit on Wayne, he's no doubt he's a better goalkeeper when he's got two good centre backs or great centre backs in front of him. He's introverted, he's quiet, he lacks a level of confidence, and I think with those two in it allows him to be more confident. Pretty much over the last 2-3 games, we've seen him come for crosses. He dropped one yesterday, but. Blimmin' heck, I was glad he dropped one because, for the best part of half the season, we haven't seen him venture more than 2 yards off his line.
Absolutely.
He's been coming out and clearing the punching, catching, relieving pressure. Against Brighton, he was, if exceptional is the wrong, maybe a bit over the top, but he was really, really good in that second half at coming out well out of his 6-yard box and willing to take go into conflict with people, get hit by centre forwards, get hit by Murray, but get his hands on the ball. And it's actually somebody put back in my reply to me on the message I wrote, actually maybe this is Dean Kiley having an impact. Here's hoping it is. I've got a sneaking feeling. Yeah, I've got a sneaking. Let's hope it is. I've got a sneaking feeling it might not be that. All of the insecurities around him still exist. It's just when he's got two centre backs in there, it allows him to be a better goalkeeper. That's the interesting part.
Yeah, I think somebody said. The point was made that he hasn't had a steady back centre pairing most of the season, and the games that Tompkins and Saka play together, we haven't lost, and I think that's absolutely relevant to you. Because from that, he's picking up his confidence.
Yeah, exactly right. And he's a big lad, isn't he? He's a big lad. He's got all the attributes to be an absolutely top draw goalkeeper. I think if he doesn't like change and he likes to know where everybody is and all of that, then he's been at the wrong club for the last, unfortunately for him, he's been at the wrong club for the last 14, 16 months because it's just been a sea of injuries. At the moment we seem to get some stability, he looks a darn sight better goalkeeper. There's got to be more than a coincidence.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the Red and Blue Review. I'm joined by Cole Davis, who's going to pick the bones out of the individual players for me during the next 10 minutes or so. Feel free to come and request to come and join the show because I'd love to take your views, see your views and your thoughts on yesterday's performance. Next one I'd like to focus on, if you don't mind, because we've spoken about the centre-back pairing, is Joel Ward, who came into for quite a lot of criticism over the last few games. What about his performance yesterday?
Yeah, it was really good. Really, really good. I mean, it's easy to think of, Joel, since Joel came back in his performances. I think, it'd be polite in saying he was rusty. Mustn't forget, just before he got injured, he was actually in about the best form he was in. And he got injured pretty much out of nowhere and then a decent chunk of time out the team. You could see why yesterday he was back in. He reads the game well. I think Jill actually touched upon it. He was a little bit rusty. He stepped back when the other three stepped up. He played Vardy on. Well, actually. Vardy still looked off, but either way, his reading to get back, clear that off the line was great. If that's the moment that everybody will remember, the rest of his play was decent. I mean, it wasn't like he wasn't up against a mobile, very fast winger. And he managed throughout well. At no stage did he ever get exposed. He didn't get overrun. He gets really helped out well by Jimmy Mack, and But if down the left hand side you've got PVA, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and Zaha joining up, and are absolutely full of movement and pace and trickery, then you've got absolute solidity down the other side with Jimmy Mack, Townsend, and Joel Ward. There's nothing but 100% on work rate there, and look, I'm really pleased for him, because if this is his last year in a Palace shirt as a be it as a squad member or a regular, I'd rather hope he goes out remembering him as a really strong servant, and that's what he has been. Let's not forget he joined us when we were in the Championship, in the low reaches of the Championship, and he's been a part of the journey that's got us here. So I'd hate to be tarnished, and days like yesterday will go a long way to remembering the player that he was.
Okay, mate.
Don't forget, only about 2 years ago there were people singing Joel Ward for England.
Yeah, I know, and if you imagine these recent last couple of games performances, you'd find that staggering. But I remember it well. Another player that I mean, because you quite rightly alluded to it a few minutes ago, that the game was won in midfield yesterday. So we did Luca, we touched on Cabaye, but pushing forward a little bit. The one name that hasn't been mentioned all evening, by myself or Gel or yourself. Was Andros Townsend. How's he been playing?
Look, I'm sometimes critical of Andros, not out loud. I wouldn't get on his back or anything along those lines. 100% work rate. He's always provides an option, and always provides an option. I mean, the guy's absolute movement is everywhere. His end product is sometimes average, but what he gives is you imagine if you're a defender against him, he's a pain in the arse. He just don't stop. He just absolutely doesn't stop. And that's what he offered yesterday. I mean, he was, again, in the amount of times he dropped back into the midfield and just left Wilf up on his own. But then the moment we got the ball, he was the one breaking with it. And quite often it's him running with the ball for 5-10 yards. What he clearly lacks is that absolute trick that we got used to with what we see with Wilf, and we got used to with Yannick, etc., etc., etc. But he's a 7 to 8 out of 10 absolutely every week, and especially if you're playing Arsenal, he seems to bang one in a bit spectacular, makes it a 9 out of 10. But again,
listen, I can't disagree with it. Anything you just said there is absolutely. I would have probably phrased it a very 7.5, 8 out of 10 every week. I think he's actually had a bit of a bad press. Somebody just mentioned on there a minute ago, Wayne Simons just said on there a minute ago, he needs to get his hair cut because he does look a bloody mess, doesn't he? His hair looks awful.
Do you know, I know his dad. I'll tell his dad.
Yeah.
Do Andros have his hair cut?
Oh, he looks a mess. I mean, guys out there that are watching, I have requested that you send your request in to join the show, but there appears to be the usual Facebook issue that the requests aren't coming through. I know Kyle had an issue coming on a second ago, and I had to. Now, some of Kirsten has just actually stolen my thunder because you touched on him a minute ago, Carl. Yannick Bolasie, would you or wouldn't you? No. Should I rephrase that differently? Would you re-sign him or wouldn't you re-sign him?
No, I wouldn't. There's a look. There was a reason why he wanted. Look, firstly, Everton would want a chunk of change back. And I think we'd rather spend that money on other players. I'd rather we spent that money on other players, number one. Number two, he's on massive salary now. He got what he always wanted with his Everton move. Look, I'll leave him in the memory. I think his best days are behind him, and we're a club moving forward. I'd rather see us spend that type of money and, getting a Ruben Loftus-Cheek or whoever it may well be, and let's keep Yannick where he belongs. Somebody who again we picked up whilst we're right down the bottom of the Championship, and in a season exploded us into the Premier League and gave us many magical moments. I think we'd get frustrated with him. We paid 250,000, and you live with all of the things that slightly go wrong. I said to many an Everton fan, you know what, you'll judge him differently to us because they spent 20-something million, you know, and your expectations are a load higher. He won't be any better for doing his cruise ship, that's for certain.
Jason Cadle said, Yannick was like an old girlfriend. You just wouldn't, would you? You wouldn't go back. Okay. Ben Allen.
There's nothing like a free ride, but you're not, generally not paying 20 million to go back with your ex-girlfriend, are you?
Ben Allen's actually asking us, he just said, Roy Hodgson, discuss.
Yeah.
Over to you, big man.
Look, I was a big fan when we got. I don't think we could have got him at the summer. We could have got him at the summer. I don't think the fans would have received him very well. We needed to have the Frank de Boer and see how bad things could be to then really appreciate the job that Roy's done. He's a proper manager. And I saw him walk around the city. I saw him talk with fans when he was England away. You know, he's got a good sense of humour. Players love him. Liverpool aside, you never ever hear a bad word said about him, and that was, you know, Dalglish more at Liverpool. You know, you speak with any ex-player who's played for him, they love him to bits, and this club love him to bits. This players love him to bits. The bit that I found refreshing, you know, forget 11th in the league. You know, I'll take that as obviously refreshing. Bit I've loved is we've not heard him like Allardyce and Pulis playing out his own personal agenda and whinging away through these favourite friends in the media, undermining that there is no doubt he was badly supported in the January transfer window. Didn't hear him come out. Didn't hear him digging Parish. All he was focused on is the current squad.
Great point.
This up. He's got integrity. He's authentic. He's been wonderful to have, and you know, we haven't had all the stuff off the pitch like we had with Pulis and with Allardyce. And you know, I saw somebody put earlier out on Twitter, you know, probably the biggest job steal achievement so far was done by the misfits that Pulis picked up versus Hodgson. Yeah, maybe Hodgson's had to deal with an incredible amount of injuries. What I do know is, yeah, there's not a hope in hell of Hodgson walking out on us, and we didn't get all of the stuff sniping away with, you know, favourite journalists, etc., etc.
Ladies and gentlemen, you might wonder why Carl Davies is on this show. Okay, well, I think that last segment there actually explains exactly why. One of the most knowledgeable guys I've ever spoken to about Paladin. He's a pleasure to have on the show, and I want him on here on a regular basis. Somebody's asked the question a minute ago, any news on the kits? Have you heard anything?
Yeah, I sort of know something, but I can't say because there's generally I'll speak about transfers or anything along those lines. I sort of got taken into a bit. Look, I know a bit about kit deals and stuff like that with the company that I work for, and I did sort of get asked a few things about who we're going with and what we're doing, or certain manufacturers. So I know what the short list was. I definitely know what their preferred option was. I can't say.
So if I described a feline animal, maybe black in colour, would I be getting any warmer?
What's interesting?
Shut up, Luke.
What you've got is Palace aren't top tier, like it or not. Palace aren't top tier, so they won't get a bespoke Nike kit or Addy kit. So anybody goes, I want Nike, I want Addy. They're templated. They won't be a load of cash, and Palace want bespoke, so they won't be that. They won't get main Puma. They won't get main Puma. There is a company that runs the lower teams that the Puma deal with. And they would get that, and they'd get that bespoke. But generally, you won't get a load of cash. There is then a tier of suppliers underneath when you get your Umbros, your Jomas, etc., etc. Macron being one of those as well, who would absolutely love to have Palace. They'd pay for the privilege, and they give them bespoke kit and all of the service. You know, I think it's fair to say we will be in the, you know, it'd be in the tier below. It'd be significant cash. It'd be a bigger deal than we've ever had previously. It'd be a bespoke kit. I know it's a better, you know, everything around it would be a better deal, but it'd be, you know, I've heard loads of people say, I do hope it's Addy, I do hope it's Nike. Be careful what you wish for, again, because, you know, there's been a whole series of Premier League clubs that's walked away from those, you know, Southampton, Stoke, etc., because there's nothing, even Arsenal walked away from Nike because they couldn't get the status with them. You know, we ain't one of the biggest boys, so...
okay, yeah. Are you actually reading the comments as they go through? Can you actually see them?
No. Do you know what? So I've got where I've got it on I've closed them down so I can't see them, so I don't get distracted.
Okay,
what
so
I have got is I've got updates from the Torino Lazio game. I'm going through. It's 0-0, by the way.
have an evening off. Have an evening off, man. I mean, we're getting Napa, we're getting Lidl, people laughing at my Primark joke, Sainsbury's and Asda. Okay, that's the level that we're talking about, I think.
Hey, Villa's got own label.
Who?
Villa's got own label. They're
it?
having a brand on it. Yeah, they've got own label. No, we have. I think it's fair to say we are definitely going with a major brand. We are definitely going with a major brand. It's
Right, folks out there, I know there's still over 50 there. I was going to wrap this up 15 minutes ago, but you lot are still there. So all the time you lot stay there, I'm going to sit here and talk to Carl. We do have an issue of bringing you on. So if you've got questions for me, questions for Carl, questions in general, I don't mind. Can you put them in the chat? Because I'm reading, unlike him over here, I'm watching every single one of them go through. So I'd love to have you on there, and I'd love your questions. So tell me about what are your movements this week? Tell me about your matches you're going to this week.
Could be 3 or 4. So
go on then.
Big one tomorrow night. It's the Biggleswade Derby. You've got to come to the Biggleswade Derby on a Monday night, haven't you?
Yeah, of course.
I've never been Biggleswade. So I've got Biggleswade. Well, I've been to. There's 3 clubs in Biggleswade. I've been to one of them. It's the other 2. So I've got Biggleswade Derby. Tuesday night, I am definitely going somewhere. I might be out with Chris Walters. Otherwise, I will definitely be at non-league. Always go non-league Tuesday. Wednesday is my Wednesday. I'm up north. I'm up north. I'm either going to stay in my hotel room watching Roma, and if Roma go 1-0 up, I am staying watching it. If Roma go 1-0 down, I'm out of there. I don't think I can stomach it.
Get an early flight.
Might not. So Wednesday that'd be that. Thursday I'm travelling back down south, and I may well pick up a game on my way back home. I'm gonna have Friday off because it's an early start to Stoke on Saturday.
Of course, right. I've been asked to remind everybody about Sean Feeney's charity football match being played at Bromley's Hayes Lane Ground, BR2 9EF on 3 p.m. on the 26th of May for the Freddie Farmer Foundation. Get in touch with Sean via the page, okay, and he can give you all the details. He's also doing some sort of charity haircut. For those of you who know Sean, he's got a long ponytail and he's god-awful beard, and he's also doing a charity for John Ellicott's fund to have his beard cut off, and that's on the 23rd of July. So done that, as I promised to do. Now,
if Sean needs some balls, I'll supply him his balls.
Oh, that's nice.
That's my donation.
Fantastic. Listen, I've got a couple of questions for you. Are you familiar with Sir Les Fuller?
Yes.
Okay, one of life's gentlemen. Okay, yeah. I haven't had the pleasure yet, but I certainly will. I can't wait. Les, we're going to meet at the West Brom game. I promise you that faithfully. Carl's views, please, on safe standing from Les Fuller.
I should be in. Look, there's again. I know a few little bits about it. I think I put up on the site when I come back after the Checker Trade Trophy. They'd had a whole big meeting there, and because Shrewsbury made the final, and Shrewsbury got safe standing at the moment, and they've been categorically told if they get promoted, which at that time looked a near certainty, but they're now going to end up in the playoffs, that they'd have to remove it. It should be in. We should do it. We should have it in. It's proven it is safe. Trouble is at the present. I think the government don't like being dictated to. They're not listening. I think they, at some stage, the Premier League are supportive, the police are supportive, all of the authority, the Football League are very supportive. At some stage, they will get the lobbying of the government right, and the government will sanction it. I think at the present moment in time, the government aren't close to it at all, and they're the biggest blocker of it all. What I would say is I get a little bit sceptical. I do wonder if the league and or both leagues, the Premier League and the Football League, are supportive because they're being heavily lobbied and even financially supported to go put safe standing in. But yeah, and please don't quote me on that because I think I might have just broken one of my contracts. But
you probably did, mate.
Either way, it can only be of a benefit to fans. It gives a chance for lower prices. It gives a chance for more people to be in the ground. It's an improved atmosphere. It's proven. It's an improved atmosphere, and there is no danger at all.
The voice of reason spoken there by Carl Davis. Okay, Colin. Sorry, I'll do Collins in a second. Paul Rundle, who's a regular contributor to the show. Thank you, Paul. Do you think if we stayed up, you would try to keep or sell Christian Benteke?
I have said a couple of times on here before. I think for no other reason than they're going to have to get into renegotiating his, get a new contract. They won't want to let him get into a year, which means sometime in the next 6 months or so, they're going to have to get into a new contract with him. I think as much as anything else, that'd be the trigger for him departing. His book value at Palace at the moment would be about circa 10 million. I think if they put him up for sale, they'd get over 10 million, despite the poor season. I think any Premier League manager would back themselves that if you brought him in, they could get him firing. He's still a really good age. I think most Premier League managers would just accept he's had a really tough season and he hasn't been able to be rested too much against for Palace because of the lack of forwards we've got. So I think from a book perspective, we look like it's profit, and that's helpful with financial fair play. I would imagine he would want more money going forward than he currently does. And I think that would be hard to stomach for Palace. And so I imagine he will depart. I also not completely 100% convinced he suits the play that Hodgson wants to go play. I think he wants people more mobile, more in the channels. I think if he could have had, go back, spin it to our pastor, Chris Armstrong or something like that, big, strong, but still good at the ball at the feet. I think he'd like that type of player in there. I do think he will go, but I don't think Palace. I'm pretty darn certain Palace currently aren't out there touting him about, and I'm pretty darn certain his agent isn't touting him about. None of them are stupid. It's not the right time to do that, but I would imagine at some stage we will go and bring in another forward, and that may well open up some clubs coming in for him, and I don't think we'll be too upset about that.
Thank you. Good question from John Knox. Thank you, John. He's talking about VAR at the World Cup. Do you think, like a lot of pundits, that VAR is going to be an unmitigated disaster at the World Cup?
Yeah, I hate it. I go to a lot of Italian games, and so I've seen VAR at its absolute worst this year, where it's I've been in games and in the ground and still not knowing what the decision's for, and I watched a game earlier today whereby a goal was given and then it's later ruled out for VAR, and it's arguable if it was right or wrong. I think it has VAR has the ability to ruin the World Cup. It definitely has the ability to ruin a fan experience, and it has the ability to be the biggest talking point of the World Cup. And the last time I looked, it should have been about players and nations and fans, not about the technology. So I also think there's a way. If you look at the Italian clubs now, they're learning how to play with VAR, how to waste time so the decision can come in, and all of that bit. I think there's such an advantage for countries that are used to playing with it. The Germans, etc. I'm not looking forward to it in any which way.
The voice of reason again, folks. This is going to be his tagline from now on. The voice of reason. Okay, a couple of people have asked the same question, but Colin Squires Senior, how many players in the summer do you reckon? We're going to wrap this up in a couple of minutes, folks.
Well, how many players we're going to bring in?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have to get this. There's not enough coming through the academy to get to 24, 25. I think the big sign is we know we've got the goalkeeper. I have a sneaking feeling they will look to do the Amadou deal again and try and get a midfielder in there with who can also play centre back, who's got a lot of length and can be mobile. They want to take the average age of that midfield down. They're definitely going to have to try and bring in a centre forward. I think I'll go with what Joel said. It'd be fewer players in than normal, but higher. Well, I'm saying than normal. You know what I mean by that. Last January was last window was a bit of an exception, but in recent years we've gone and got 7 or 8 in. I think it'd be 3 or 4, but it'd be higher quality. I wouldn't be surprised if Ruben Loftus-Cheek is here next season, but I don't think it'd be as a signing. I think we'll try again on loan.
Didn't I call that an hour ago? Didn't I call that an hour ago?
I think that's what it'd be. And I know we'd all, there's many people who are sceptical about loan signings and all of that. Well, you don't tie up all your cash in him. You won't tie up all your salary in him. You won't have to be trying to, you're going to have to offer Chelsea a big chunk of change to get him out there, because he did sign an extended contract before he came to us. Yeah. I think, and he is injury prone. I think they've got other areas we want to strengthen him, but we'd love to have him, and I think he loves it here. I think the loan, maybe a loan with an option, maybe the advance from where we currently are.
What do you think about Tadic? Somebody asked. Wayne Simmons asks. Sorry, Simon's asked Tadic.
He's off to the Giallorossi. He's going to Roma.
No, is he?
Yeah, allegedly. Yeah.
Oh, right,
if Southampton go down, he's meant to be off to the Roma. So I'll get to see him one way or another. Look, I love him. I love him to bits. I think he's a great player. I mean, his first season he was at Southampton. I ended up at a game at the Emirates and he ran the game. And that was a year that I think Arsenal finished second. He's a properly good player and definitely would fit into our team. But yeah, I think that all of the rumours are he is heading to the Stadio Olimpico.
Right, okay. Last question for you, and then I'm going to wrap it up. Okay, last 2 games of the season coming up. Stoke away, West Brom at home. Your predictions for those 2 games and our final position in the league, please.
Yeah, I think look, Stoke won't be a draw. They can't draw it. If they're losing 1-0, 2-0, they're going to be going for it absolutely full on. If they're 1-0 up, we'll be pushing for it. But if it's level with 10-15 to go, it'd be absolutely rush goalies. Going to have loads of space for Zaha, etc., to run into. So I think there'd be goals. I think it'd be it'd go either way. It won't be a draw. It can go either way. Just because I'm a massive Palace fan, we're in this credible run and we haven't lost to a team out of the top 6 since October. I will go Palace to win 2-1 with a goal in the 90-something minute when Stoke were going for it. I think we beat West Brom at home. I put it up on there earlier on the comments. All of the Palace players are on a massive bonus to finish in the top half of the table. Be it we do finish there or we don't, I would imagine on the last day of the season, if we do get something at Stoke, we can almost certainly finish in it, depending on how results go. I imagine a little bit like the game we had versus Swansea a few years ago when Shamak scored in the, and we
I remember
the top half. I imagine it being that type of bit. I bet there'd be a bit of a party atmosphere. West Brom would be a bit of a party atmosphere, but I think we'll want it more than them. And you know what? As the league table will definitely prove, we're a better team than them.
Where will we finish?
Where we finish? 11th.
And I trust your word implicitly. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been watching Carl Davis on the Red and Blue Review. Carl, as always, mate, and it's not going to be the last time. This is going to be regular. You know it is because you're so good at what you do. Thank you so much for joining us here on Red and Blue News. And I'll talk to you very soon, mate.
You're too kind, Nick, and brilliant show with you and Gel. Speak soon. Out the Palace.
Take care, buddy. Switch off. And for everybody else, I think I have to push you off there. Something like that. You're still there. That's it. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now rapidly approaching 9 o'clock on a Sunday evening. I'm going to wrap it up there. There hasn't been below 40 people watching us this evening. There's still over 40 people out there now. We can't do this without your show. Thank you for all your comments. Thank you for your contributions, each and every one of you. Please like and share across all Palace pages. Don't forget to go onto our Red and Blue News 1 on Twitter and our YouTube channel. Once you find it, share it. Thank you for your lovely comments. Colin, I can see your comment. Tyler, I can see yours, mate. We can't do this without you. This is just a few blokes, like you would do down the pub, sitting in the pub, having a beer together and having a chat and talking about our favourite subject. This is Nick Philpott from Red and Blue News. Good night, everybody, and up the Palace. Thank you.